Alright, hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're checking out Marvel's Spider-Man 2 on the Steam Deck. This is one of the biggest releases of the year so far, and while it wasn't exactly designed for handheld play, I just had to see how it runs. I tested it on the Steam Deck OLED, tried different settings, played around with frame generation and even DLSS, and yes, I crashed the game a few times, but is it actually playable? Let's find out. Spider-Man 2 takes everything great from the first game and dials it up. Faster web swinging, crazier combat, and of course, the ability to switch between Peter and Miles on the fly. But all of that comes with a price. It is a pretty demanding game. Now I started testing it at the lowest settings with FSR 111 enabled and set to dynamic resolution to see if we could get a stable performance, and right away I noticed something. The game really doesn't want to run smoothly on the deck out of the box. Now on the very low settings preset, no frame generation and FSR 111 set to balanced, we're hovering around 30 FPS, but as soon as you start swinging fast, the frame rate dips into the 20s and things get rough. It's playable, sure, but it's not smooth. And you can feel those hitches when moving at high speeds. Not ideal, but at least we're not dropping into slideshow territory. Now next I enabled frame generation to see if it could squeeze out some extra FPS, and technically it worked. We're seeing 50-60 FPS, but there is a catch. There is some input lag. It's not great, it's not one of the worst I've seen, but you can definitely feel it. It's like playing Spider-Man in slow motion sometimes. Swinging still looks fluid, but when you press a button it takes a couple of milliseconds for the game to react. It's playable, but it just doesn't feel great. Alright, quick break. Did you know that 98% of people watching right now aren't subscribed? That's actually worse than trying to run Spider-Man 2 at Ultra settings on the Steam Deck. So if you're enjoying the video, maybe hit that subscribe button. Unlike the game's frame rate, it won't cost you any performance drops. Alright, back to testing. Now I switched over to IGTI, which is another upscaling method. I've never heard of it before. And this actually made things a little better. The frame rate still jumps around, but it feels a bit more stable and it stays around 30. Then I actually noticed that I am on dynamic scaling. So I tried to set FSR 3.1 to performance mode, and surprisingly, this was the best result so far, except the game looks like shit now. We're hitting mostly stable 30 FPS with fewer dips and stutters, and of course the input lag is gone with frame generation off. It actually feels playable now. So I had to push it further, Ultra Performance mode, frame generation on, and the game crashed. But actually, when it crashed, there was a 2 MB update, and after I entered the game back in, Spider-Man actually ran better. It actually holds 30 FPS consistently without frame generation, and I'm not really sure what happened here. It started to work a little better, so I had to keep testing. I tested various settings. It pretty much runs at around 2.5 hours of battery life, and probably the best setting you can run it at is FSR set to performance or balanced, trying to run this at 30 FPS. You can experiment with frame generation, and sometimes it will feel alright, but most of the time it's gonna feel a little bit sluggish. Now I also did try to put the game to million settings and see how that runs, but unfortunately it will often dip below 30 FPS, especially in combat, and it's not a great experience. Now you're gonna see some footage where with frame generation this can push to even over 60 FPS on the OLED specifically, but it again does not feel great. Now I also did try to patch the game with that new frame generation mod that we've been talking about, and I made a video on it the other day, and even without using frame generation, switching between DLSS and FSR didn't see much of a difference. So is Spider-Man 2 worth playing on the Steam Deck? Well, kind of. If you're okay with tweaking settings and accepting some occasional slowdowns, it's playable, but it's not enjoyable. As I said, battery life is around 2 hours, even at 30 FPS, which isn't bad, but the real issue is consistency. Now, if you're looking for a perfect experience, you might want to wait for a few patches, or maybe just stream the game over GeForce Experience or from your PC. That said, if you really want to play this on the go, it is possible, and that alone is impressive. Now overall, Spider-Man 2 on the Steam Deck is a mixed bag. It's not the smoothest experience, but with the right tweaks, it's at least playable. Hopefully future updates will make it even better. If you found this video helpful, give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on more Steam Deck content. Let me know in the comments what other games you want me to test. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.